Morning, colleagues. Good morning.
Morning, programming wave.
Okay, no, I just wanted to check if I was audible, and also that we are supposed to start at 8. I haven't got it wrong. We are
No,
starting
we
at 8.
started at past 8, sir. Uh,
Is it? I
We
thought
started.
it was.
No, we said the link will open us from 8. Otherwise, the
I
meeting
see.
at past 8. Yes, yeah.
Uh, Okay, no, thanks, Andrew. I think I
Yeah.
got that wrong. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We
Sure.
normally open the link just before 8:30. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm with
Just to
you. Thank
enable
you.
member to
Sure.
connect and test their devices. Yes. All right, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Did you
you.
notice the program I sent you last night? I've got a few additions there, some
Okay, let
PRRs,
me
but,
let me
but they
check
will
on
be
that.
on display. Yeah, we'll be displaying them.
Okay. So
It's just
there's a
additional
few
PRRs.
new BA.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
I'll have a
then
look now.
main,
I'll have a look
and
now.
then
Thanks,
mainly
Andrew.
I've added the communications report next Tuesday for that. Remember that salaries for ICASA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for your classes as well now. Okay.
Yes.
Then no,
Yes.
thanks. I'll have a look. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. I'll have a look. Thank
Later,
you.
sir.
Sure.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. The time is just 1 minute to 8:30, so we'll wait a bit in case there's one who's joining.
Morning, Speaker.
Morning. Morning, Hlengiwe. Are you around? I see here you have apologized.
But since it's virtual, I'm here.
Aha! Now I get it. Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to the programming committee meeting. We've received the apologies from House Chairperson City Frolic, House Chairperson Majosi, Honorable Echo Mkhalipi had apologized, but she's managed to join in virtually, so she's present in the meeting. And Mr. Honorable Essen Swart. I'm not sure whether there are any. Hello.
I am here. Swart is here. My apologies. I retract my apology. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Honorable Swart has also been able to join. I'm not sure whether there's any other apologies that I must note.
Yes, Speaker, the apology of Chief Whip of the EFF. He might join us, but the problem is the network wherever he is.
Okay. No, thank you very much. The Chief Whip of the EFF, apologies noted. Honorable members, the agenda has been circulated, so as the minutes. I would ask if there's anyone who would like to move the adoption of the agenda.
I would like to move, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dagmo. Any seconder?
Kwangwa seconds, Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwangwa, for seconding. We will now go to the minutes of the 17th of October, 2024, which have been circulated to members. They can just be flighted. We'll move swiftly, page by page. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4.
Page 4, Chair.
Yes.
If we could just scroll down just before, good morning, by the way, Honorable Speaker, and the members. Yeah, just before, just if you go down a bit, just before Mr. Nduli, there's a missing paragraph. Yeah. Okay. That Mr. Nduli paragraph, you can see it's just hanging. So what happens is if you read the previous paragraph and then boom, this one comes in. It didn't come in out of the blue like it's presented here. That paragraph was preceded. That paragraph was preceded by the comment I made, which has not been captured here. And the comment I made, which I repeat, was that I was raising a concern following these transformational bills that are not finding their way to South Africa. And the concern I raised, which the Chief Whip of the largest party was responding to, the concern I raised was that should we be expecting now that all the transformation bills that were passed, probably not saying it in the exact same words, but I was worried about the transformation being reversed because these bills, both of them, were passed by the sixth administration and all that, and they've been all promulgated, by the way. But now, post-promulgation, they're being frustrated by the DA coalition with the ANC. So I was wondering, I had raised a concern that is this now what you should expect, that this coalition will now reverse all the gains of transformation? So that sentiment is not captured here, but is being responded to.
No, thank you very much for that correction, Honorable Manye. it will be captured so that there is the flow in terms of what that other paragraph refers to. Honorable Dagmore, is there another correction?
Yes, I just think it's an addition to that paragraph which starts with Mr. Ntuli. It just says Mr. Ntuli that. I think it should obviously just say Ntuli said that a perception should not be created. Yeah,
all right.
thanks.
No, thank you very much. Those corrections have been noted by the Secretariat and they'll be corrected. Can we move to the next?
Speaker,
Yes, Honorable Mentor.
sorry, Speaker, my network is not so well, so I'm trying to open these things and my phone is not allowing me. Apologies for not raising my hand.
Okay.
During the bill session, one of the EFF members raised the matter of the Bella bill, but it's not also finding expression on the minutes. Yes. And we also raised the matters that you would then come and report back today about that of writing to the president to understand the status of the bill, as well as the implementation of those clauses that he had signed. Thank you, Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Mentor. We'll ask the Secretariat again to correct the minutes to maybe make it much more clear. I can see on page 3 towards the end, there is reference on that, but maybe it might not have been captured the way you would have liked it to be. So we will ask the Secretariat in consultation with you and Honorable Maini to actually look at how those minutes are captured. Thank you very much. Can we move to page 5? Can you move to the next page? Colleague, this is really to remind us, but minutes have been sent. So if you can move a bit fast, that would help. Thank you very much. There are corrections that have been raised. Are there any other corrections that might not have been raised in the minutes that we need to consider? If not, can we get a mover of the adoption of the minutes with those amendments? Honorable Ntuli.
Good morning, Speaker, and good morning to the other colleagues. May I propose that we adopt the minutes? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get a seconder?
Seconded,
Honorable Kojane, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, Speaker. I second to adopt the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kojane. I would then ask Mr. Klaso to present matters arising, and those matters arising also relate to the issues that I had said I will consult on and come back to the minutes. To the meeting with the response. Mr. Klaso?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning.
We can't hear anything, Mr. Clausen.
Can you hear me now?
It's improving.
It's better.
Yeah, far better now.
Thank you so much. We'll start with the establishment of joint structures. The NA names were finalized last week and published. The NCOP names have since been published. And I'm advised that the meetings of joint committees will be scheduled in the coming week, the week of the 28th of October. In relation to the Bella bill, the parliamentary counselor to the president has advised the speaker that the presidency and the Minister of Basic Education will work on the issue of sections 4 and 5. And the idea is to provide an opportunity for interested parties to engage on this matter and seek solutions. And the consultations will be focused on implementation and the commencement date of the sections of the Act. In terms of the promulgation of the Act itself, the minister must still advise the president in terms of the effective date of the Act. In respect of the establishment of a structure to process pre-94 legislation, the Speaker has determined that the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Constitutional Development will undertake this task, and consultations with that committee will be undertaken. But that has been the decision of the Speaker on the issue. Then there is a number of matters that were referred to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee will be meeting on the 31st of October after questions to the Deputy President. The subcommittee in preparation for the Rules Committee met yesterday, 23rd October. It will be meeting again tomorrow at 9, hopefully to finalize the number of issues that it is dealing with. Those issues include the quality of replies to questions, optimizing question time, a structure to exercise oversight over the presidency, and various other issues, including establishment of a committee on government undertakings and petitions. So those issues are before the subcommittee. They will serve before the Rules Committee next week on the 31st. Our Legal Services Department I will allow them to speak on Employment Equity Act, but for now, I would like to go to the next item, which is the EFF resolution on the Israeli embassy. The minister has responded to the Speaker, and he indicates that the government has initiated, he referred to the proceedings that were initiated at the International Court of Justice, and the fact that the matter is still going to serve before Cabinet, and Cabinet will then present a more comprehensive approach to the issue. That's the effect of, or the essence of, the communication by the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation on the issue. And that this presentation by Cabinet, or the decision of Cabinet, will contextualize the resolution passed by the NA in 2023 and the action that the executive will take. Then there was an issue on the resolution of the EFF on extortion. That resolution will be scheduled for the 29th of October to be finalized by the House. We have provided a report on petitions as requested at the last meeting. Madam Speaker, that is the feedback on the issues raised. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klaso. Maybe just to give more detail on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill. If I may just indicate, in consultation with the President and the response that is formal written, which clarifies the matter. Indeed, the President had signed the bill into law, no perceived constitutional issues around it. And the next step, after President had signed and assented to the legislation, it is the line function minister who must prepare a presidential minute for the proclamation of the legislation and the effective date. So it's not decided for by the President. And the minister has been advised to do exactly that. So the sections on 4.5, it's more the consultation process that will, as indicated by the President, take 3 months, and then he will then make his determination on how those clauses will move forward. It gives an opportunity to interested parties. It could be political parties, it could be, individuals or educational experts to be able to make their proposal, but it's more about the implementation of those sections where concerns had been raised more than the essence of the sections themselves. On the issue of the resolution on Israel, the minister, as indicated by Mr. Tasso, has written formally to us to indicate that apart from other actions that South Africa has taken against the Israeli government, the resolution and also the recommendations on how this matter must be dealt with in line with what was recommended by the National Assembly will be presented by the Department of Justice before the end of year in the executive. So I just wanted to make clarity on those two, to say we've received responses and clarity that was sought, and we are reporting back to you. I'm seeing hands from Honorable Mkalipi and Honorable Mani.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker will forgive me. I'm also in a very bad area in terms of the reception. Speaker, let me just firstly comment on the issues that were not reported here. That we want to know what is the progress in regards to COP29, which is the climate change conference that is going to take place away from South Africa. As we raised it last week, are we going to have a delegation, or are we not going to form part and parcel of the discussion that is very important to the climate change in South Africa? Is the minister going to do a statement, as we asked last week, is not reflected upon by Babu Class? That is number one. Number two, Speaker, on the Bella bill, this is very unfortunate. And we have expressed ourselves last week as the EFF that we have never seen such things in the lives of South Africans. And then now we are being told that as a progress, the 3 months will be consultation. And we are also confused because the consultations were taking place. As a result, the president was supposed to sign the bill after the thoroughly consultation, and people of South Africa have expressed themselves in terms of the consultation, in terms of the processes of the bills. So now we don't even understand what does that 3 months entails. Who must be consulted after the consultation, after the resources of the taxpayers' money were used to do this consultation around the country? And as we expressed ourselves last week, Speaker, we said, if there's a problem in South Africa, we must resolve it through the laws. So this Bella bill to become the law now is a problem. Secondly, can we also get a very clear directive or a guidance? When is the minister going to do what she's supposed to do? Because right now it means we don't have that act that was signed by the president, let alone that now there are clauses that has to be deferred, and of which we must not even accept it. Last week we said to you, Speaker, it means the parliament is failing on its duty to do their work if we are going to allow the executive to do as they pleases. Those are the issues that I want to express myself. The third one is about the item, the motion of the EFF. Yesterday in the Chiefs Forum, we raised it, and then Babu Kaso just mentioned now. But when we check the program that was circulated last night, is not there, except that there is an item that specifically says those decisions that will be processed in the House after the debate today. But it's not specific that ours, because what was debated long time ago, ours is going to be included, and we said specifically let us also get that one in the program. That is one. The last one, Speaker, that I'm also unhappy is the one that you just explained in terms of closing of the embassy of Israel. So now, if I'm hearing you correctly, the cabinet has not processed this matter, and is very painful and is very unfortunate, because this matter was the resolution of the House was taken long time ago. And if the cabinet has not tabled this matter, we must not also be told what is the reason why we take decision as the NA, and then now it has to take time to be resolved at a cabinet level. Again, it also talks to the functioning of the Parliament of South Africa, Speaker. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Mkali. We will respond on those issues. Honorable Manyu.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Yes, Speaker, first I want to welcome your feedback. And in particular, I want to welcome your confirmation that the President has said that there are no constitutional issues. Now, that's the only thing that the President must apply his mind to before he assents. Now, if the President has communicated to you, Speaker, that there are no constitutional issues, it therefore vindicates the posture that we have as the MK party, that indeed the DA coalition with the ANC is frustrating transformation. Because if there are no constitutional issues, what is this thing that we're waiting for now? Why can't we be having a date that next week that this bill is going to be enforced? What is it that we're waiting for? What are we busy nursing here, Speaker? What are we busy nursing here? People of South Africa are waiting. The President has signed. The President says there are no constitutional issues. So what's the problem? So we're very concerned as the MK party that this DA coalition with the ANC is actually a serious factor in reversing transformation. I'm still waiting, Speaker, to hear the response on the employment equity as well. I suspect it's going to be similar issues because the President signed that bill, those amendments on 23rd of May, I think, somewhere 2023. Even that is more than a year that the President has signed. But still, all of these transformation things are being frustrated. And also, Speaker, the issue of Israel, I want the meeting to confirm whether the DA coalition is also now another factor that is ensuring that the President is not implementing the resolution of the National Assembly. This means this government is being made a puppet government of sorts. We make decisions here as Parliament, and the President does what he needs to do, but somehow things just don't move. So we're very concerned as MK party that this DA coalition is not taking the transformation process of this country forward. It's actually a stumbling block to transformation. So the comments by the chief whip of the majority, or I beg your pardon, of the largest party are actually being put to waste here. The assurances that he has made, there is no evidence to corroborate the posture that he was taking, Chair. So we're very concerned as a MK party that indeed the DA-ANC coalition is a problem. And here is evidence. 3 major projects are now being on reverse gear purely because the DA is not happy. We're very worried about this, Chairperson. I must raise this concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I must clarify, colleagues, there is no DA coalition in South Africa. As far as I remember, there is a government of national unity. And I do think that, you know, some of the statements, I can't say people must not reflect it, political posture on them, but the reports are very clear on the matters that have been raised where they are and what processes are being followed. And with respect to the presidency, I would also give at the end of the hence Honorable Korenov to further clarify. But as we indicated last time, President has the prerogative to apply his mind. It's not only on the constitutionality that he has to reflect on, but he can, on his consultation, believe that he needs to give an opportunity to actually hear the voices where they may be concerned. I think it's important for us to appreciate that because it is in the processing. And the Minister of Justice has responded to us, as we've indicated, that indeed the resolution of the National Assembly, but also their own recommendation as the Department of Justice on how these matters must be processed is going to go to Cabinet, which indicates that the matters are being attended to. Honorable Zawude.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you and colleagues on the platform. Honorable Speaker, I want to welcome your responses to the issues that are raised. Indeed, it's clear and it's what is the process that the President always take to apply his mind to seek legal advice before he can do anything. We appreciate that, the response, and also that one. Honorable Speaker, I just want to agree with Mr. Tasso with regard to the subcommittee on rules. Indeed, today, and we are meeting again tomorrow at 9 o'clock to finalize all the matters. And I want to put it on record, Honorable Speaker, that it was disingenuous of members of Parliament, especially of the EFF, to raise the issue of saying that we don't want the progress with regard to the subcommittee on rules is very slow. It was the EFF when we were supposed to sit and have a meeting before we rise, who then came up with a proposal that let's postpone the meeting because we are rising to go for our constituency period. So, as a member who always listens, I had to consult other members and the feeling was mutual to all members of the subcommittee. Coming back, we couldn't convene the subcommittee because it was Oversight Week, and members of Parliament who are serving in the subcommittee are also serving in committees, so they were on oversight. Hence, we had to convene the meeting to sit yesterday. So I wanted just to put that on record, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Dagmo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, just to say that in the report given by Mr. Tasso about matters arising, he specifically indicated that the decision on the question regarding the extension motion is programmed for the 29th, but I think the EFF is correct in saying that in the latest draft of we just add that as point. If you look at the latest draft, but I'm sure we'll get to that later on in the meeting. But we agreed even yesterday in the Chief Whips Forum, it was agreed that that particular matter would be dealt with. And I think when the presentation on the program goes up, we will make sure that that is there. And just secondly, briefly, I know, Speaker, you have touched on this issue, but, we know that, political parties would want to posture, but I want to endorse the view which you have expressed that we have a government of national unity that consists of 10 parties. So obviously there's freedom of speech and members have rights, but it's clear that for Honourable Mani to continue referring to a DA coalition is posturing. And it actually, however, does not detract the fact that we have a government of national unity led by the ANC and consisting of 10 parties. So, if we need to repeat this every time and other parties need, well, that's fine. But I would regard the programming meeting as not. Yeah. And then my last point, sorry, Chair, my last point on the motion that the House passed last year, in regard to the isolating Israel. I think it's very clear that this executive moved beyond what any other country in the world has done in terms of the application to the Angela case. The executive is a separate power, so that particular issue, as we've heard, is going to cabinet in the light of all these recent developments. I don't think there should be an attempt to undermine the commitment of the executive towards holding Israel to account for the genocide that's going on. Thank you.
Honorable Mente.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Good morning once again. Yeah, just before the council to the president comes in, I just want clarity, Speaker, because The separation of powers, we should never step onto that boundary. We are parliament. When we pass the laws, we expect a full collaboration with the office of the president on matters. If there are matters where he's not satisfied, we should be communicated to properly. It shouldn't be a case that we read from media statements of what is the next step forward. And he's within his rights to do whatever he has to do. But I think it's mutual respect to say your laws that you have passed will have to be delayed for a month or two. Reasons, I don't believe in the following. I'm not satisfied with the following. But in addition to that, a very same minister who did not attend the signing ceremony of that particular bill, and we all know the reasons behind her not attending, is now the very same minister whom over a month has not promulgated the act. And Speaker, I think because we are in a separate house, we are Parliament, you are the head of Parliament. It should be of interest to you to ask, when are you going to do this? The president signed other clauses. She doesn't proclaim. What next? Are we again going to write to her after 3 months? Because the response says the president and the minister are still working on the clauses 4 and 5 for whatever reason, which is not communicated, that's fine. But what happened with everything else that has been signed, which is very progressive for this country in correcting the wrongs of the past? So it's very important for me, Speaker. I am not satisfied with the way we are trying to have a relationship that is cordial with executive. Executive accounts to us. There's no cordial relationship when they are no longer doing what is expected of them, especially in terms of respect. So I'm going to be pleading with you, Speaker, that we must know what is the minister's thinking around this. When is she going to do what is expected of her? And what should we tell South Africans in terms of the laws that we ourselves have passed? We've gone through to the people for the past 5 years, asking them questions in terms of public hearing and all of that. And people have shown interest in the Bella Bill and how it's going to change the lives of our children in terms of inclusivity. So we should be as transparent as possible. We should always have answers as to where we are as Parliament, not as executive. Let's not speak for the executive, but the executive must always give us proper answers in terms of what is happening so that we are able to also feed the public when they ask questions. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Korenov? Sorry, Honorable Notata.
No, thank you so much, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Speaker, just on two things. I think one, it's important that we well understand who are lawmakers here. And it's going to be difficult to sit in a meeting where some lawmakers don't read what the law says. And I agree with the Honorable Mentor that says there's a big separation of powers. And I think it's stipulated in the Constitution as to what is the role of the president once a bill is sent through to him, and what decisions he can make, and thereafter what the responsibility of the very relevant ministers are. And for certain clauses not to be passed for 3 months or whatever time period, there's reasons in this process and that's stipulated in the very same Constitution. So it cannot be that we're going to come and sit in a meeting where we've got lawmakers that are not reading what the law says. Now we must overstep and go and do the job of the executive. It's not our responsibility. And I think it's important for us to be able to stipulate that. Otherwise, it's going to be a very frustrating process, Speaker, to sit in meetings where people are supposed to understand and know the law and ultimately explain it to South Africans when they actually simply clearly don't understand what is going on. The second component, and I think, Speaker, the purpose of this meeting in the main is not just to discuss matters arising. In fact, it's to set the program of Parliament. And I think in the next meetings, there needs to be a consideration for us to be able to start with the program, so that if people want to do some political posturing and some grandstanding here because they want to be on the limelight, then they can do that. But some of us are here just to do the work of Parliament, and it's important for us to understand the process of Parliament. And if we don't,
Point
then
of
we must
order,
set it
Speaker.
out.
Point of order, Speaker.
And
Yeah, he's already out of order.
Honorable Mani, there is no point of order. I think we've allowed everybody to express themselves. Let's allow each one of us to reflect how they feel about issues, as I've allowed each one of you without disturbance. You have raised your hand, you will get an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Speaker. And just in conclusion with what I'm saying, Speaker, is that it's important for us to be able to focus on the work of Parliament, being informed of what we need to do, and not come here and make this a political grandstanding, space. It's important for us to raise issues and to raise them with the knowledge that we have of the work that we need to do for Parliament, but not to overstep the line in terms of separation of powers. If we need to hold people accountable, we've got mechanisms and ways to do so. And ultimately, we must focus on the business of Parliament. But ultimately, I mean, it really is sometimes frustrating to sit here, Speaker, and listen to people that make statements that have no relevance for this particular meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Kuranov.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning to the members on the platform. Just on two issues for clarity. First of all, when a bill is sent to the President, the Constitution determines that he must apply his mind independently to a bill received. It's contained in Section 79 and other sections of the Constitution. So the President looks at two issues. One, whether there are any constitutional challenges to the bill on his desk. And secondly, whether the parliamentary processes have been followed in both houses when they considered the bill. So it's quite clear he is advised and he applies his mind independently. And we advise the President, we start the process from scratch to say, what was the constitutional parliamentary processes followed? Are there any constitutional challenges? And the President applies his mind based on this advice. So it's a complete separation of powers, and the President applies his mind based on these two factors. Secondly, on the Bella bill, the President has assented to the bill. He signed it into law. It was published in the Government Gazette after having followed constitutional and democratic processes. I have just indicated, both constitutionally as well as the processes followed by the houses. So the next step is for the minister, in any bill, for the minister concerned to prepare the required proclamation to bring the act into operation and submit it to the office of the President for his signature. And normally, the minister advises the President on the sections of the bill to be proclaimed. With reference to sections 4 and 5, it is between the office of the Minister of Basic Education and the office of the Presidency that must now work together regarding the process to be followed to take this process forward and to conclude on it within the time frame indicated by the President. So the consultations are focused on the implementation and commencement date of the sections, because the act was found to be constitutionally sound. So this is a process that needs to be followed. So I conclude to say there are complete separation of powers. The Bella bill has not been returned to Parliament. It's on the desk of the President, and he has made his determination on the Bella bill as indicated in the letter addressed to you. So there's no ambiguity, there's no uncertainty about the process. There are definite timeframes, and and this needs to be implemented. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mani.
Thank you, Speaker. The first point I want to make, Speaker, is that for us as the MK Party, we're very concerned that the DA, ANC, and others coalition pact is beginning to impact on the work of Parliament. That Parliament, when it must hold the executive accountable, members of the DA, ANC coalition, and others impede Parliament from holding the executive accountable. We can't have of the DA-ANC coalition here in Parliament defending the executive when we're trying to hold the executive accountable. The executive must speak for itself in here. Maybe we should have invited the DA Minister Kwarube to come and respond to the matters here. In fact, I'm recommending that, Chair, that in the next meeting, if this bill is still not signed, she must come here and explain herself so that we don't have this conflict of interest. That's the first point. Second point, Chair, I want to also just welcome the clarification given by Honorable Koronov. And he has made 2 points here that there are 2 issues that the President considers. And both of those issues, the box is ticked. One is constitutional issues, the box is ticked. The other one is processes followed in Parliament, the box is ticked. Now, the only box that we're dealing with is a DA box. That's the only box which is not part of the process that Mr. Koronov, Honorable Koronov highlighted. So indeed, we are just busy with a stumbling block now because all the prescribed issues boxes are ticked. So without wasting a lot of time, Chairperson, Speaker, I want to ask that before we leave this meeting, this thing of a woman fuzzy story about implementation and processes and everything that has got no timelines in mind is just not acceptable. Totally not acceptable, Chairperson. Can we have time frames? Mr. Koronov must tell us when is this all going to happen, or the members of the DA-ANC coalition that are here that know better as to what is happening in the executive. Can you get some timelines? We are now in October 24th. When exactly will the Bella bill be on the table? And Chairperson, maybe we should have also allowed, before this discussion, we should have perhaps also allowed the legal people to deal with the matter of the employment equity so that we can deal with these things at the same time. But they were very worried, Chairperson. Can we get some time frames? It's not enough to say it's happening, it's going to happen. When? When is this all going to happen? Can you please get some time frames, Chairperson? Thank you very much.
Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning to everyone. Speaker, I think it is very important for us to understand what the function and frame of reference is for the National Assembly Programming Committee. It's not a portfolio committee. We cannot summon ministers to appear before the NAPC, and I think we are perhaps being distracted. We are here to discuss the program for the next week, for the rest of the term, as well as look at what bills are before the House, as well as what is happening in the committees, but from the sense of being a programming committee. I'm very concerned that we are now starting to conflate portfolio committees doing their oversight and the NAPC now trying to usurp those responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaliphi and Honorable Mente.
No, thanks very much.
Honorable Nodata. Honorable members, I really appeal that we become brief and seek clarity where make comments where we make it so that we can move to the next meetings. Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Sure, Speaker. Speaker, we must not try to defend the executive. That mistake must not happen under our watch as members of Parliament. So we are moving to a dangerous zone whereby we as members of parliament who are supposed to ensure that the executive is accountable to parliament, but now we want to defend the executive. That one must never happen, and we must never agree to that notion. Speaker, we are saying here as members of parliament, as the head of institution, we are not satisfied about the explanation coming from the president's desk. I will have imagined, and my understanding, as I have correctly raised it last week, to say that the role of a counselor to the president is to clarify those issues that you are not privy to it as members of parliament. But instead of getting those specific issues, for instance, which constitution, which clause, which part of the constitution says to the president, sign the bill into an act, but defer these two clauses, which is 4 and 5. Which act of parliament, which clause in the constitution that suggests that after the signing of the bill, the minister must take her own time to proclaim the bill into an act? Speaker, this is very dangerous. And when I'm listening to other members here, they don't have an argument and engagement to take this matter forward. So therefore, that's why we are saying, as a head of institution, Speaker, please ensure that we need clarity, as we have alluded to the fact that the reason why people wanted this bill as soon as possible is because people are suffering. They are suffering. They want to ensure their kids are protected, their kids are at school. But we know the politics of DA. We
Okay,
know the position of
Honorable
DA about this bill.
Khaliphi.
But we must
Honorable
not
Khaliphi,
use parliament. Speaker, let me just finish off. We must
can you
not
please
use
summarize,
parliament.
because you are
Yes,
now
I'm
repeating
summarizing,
what you have
Speaker.
said in your earlier intervention.
Yeah, but Speaker, if you are not going to respond as well as the
I
head of
will
institution,
respond at the end. I will
we are
respond.
going to repeat ourselves. But in summary, Speaker, let us not try to undermine ourselves as parliament. We must do things as parliamentarians to ensure that the executive is accountable. The second one, Speaker, is this COP29. I think you are still going to respond as well, because it was not responded to after we have come back on these issues. Thanks, Speaker.
Honorable members, I'm allowing you time to reflect on issues. We will respond, because I don't think it would also be fair on me to respond after each and every speaker. So we are taking notes on the issues you are raising, and I can't stop you if you all want to come back on the issues after other members have come back. So you limit yourself, in terms of the time for us to be able to respond to you. Honorable Mentor, can you please make your point?
Yeah, as long as Speaker. No, Speaker, I just want to clarify a point. I think as much as I know that it's in your nature to be a very fair person, when we are out of order, you should be calling us out of order and we continue with the business of the day. But the fact that you don't call us out of order is because you understand the functioning of the committee. So my clarification is that NAPC is attended by most senior leaders of all parties. Reason being, our members come to us to report difficulties and any other issue that they come across in their committees. And this is where we then ventilate in terms of committees. Hence, the agenda will have committee section. Then we ventilate on committees and what the happenings there in the committees. And then bills. Once we work on a bill, when it passes through to the president, it's our duty to make sure that we don't just pass the ball and then sit back. The bill may come back on the 5th year of this administration, simply because we say, no, the executive, the separation of power, we're very mindful of it. But at the very same time, as responsible leadership, when we draft a law because there's a demand within our society. And in responding to that demand, we then amend or propose a new law. We are then not expecting another level because we are the lawmakers. And rightfully so, members have referred to us as lawmakers. We are not going to be irresponsible lawmakers that just draft the laws, pass them, and then they get stuck somewhere. In the last meeting, I even made a reference to laws that have been passed for more than 2 years ago. They still have not been signed. I'm sure that report is coming this week as to how far back are the laws. So as responsible members led by the Speaker, we should keep to our word that we'll be lawmakers, will serve our people, we will make sure that the laws that we draft service them. So it must not be that, no, now the NAPC has been dragged. Dragged by who? The NAPC is not dragged. These are the agenda
Honorable
items.
Mente, can you please summarize?
So, Speaker, please, some things we must correct them. These are agenda points. There's nothing that's out of the NAPC. We're made to look like we're politicking and all those things. No, not the last 10 years that I've been serving in Parliament. This is exactly how leaders of different parties come and vent. And then I was expecting that the Deputy Speaker will then say, we will then ask House Chair Frolik to check with the Committee of Basic Education if they can take this matter forward, if it needs them. If it doesn't need them, we will then look into how else do we intervene as Parliament, because we need our law. We don't want to be executive. We don't mind what they're doing, but they account to us and we need our law. That's just final. Thank you.
Nkwankwa, and then I close.
Speaker, thank you very much. The issue here is about a balancing act. Because remember, before the president signs the bill into law, you can lobby him, you can petition him. That is provided for in the law. We tried to do that before the elections when there are amendments or changes to the Political Party Funding Act. We explored that option. But I think the principle that the colleagues are making, which is well established in this case, that once it has been signed into law, there should not be one political party or partner that appears to have veto powers on the decisions taken. I accept that the process must be followed, but once there are no challenges constitutionally and all other issues are not a problem insofar as that law is concerned and it has been assented to and signed into law, there shouldn't be unnecessary stumbling blocks that are put in the way of that process. And it's something that we as Parliament need to actually, they're quite correct in saying, consider it, look into it, and ensure that we put mechanisms in place to make sure that in such instances, there are no unnecessary delays that are caused after the bill has been signed into law. If it had not been signed into law and the process of lobbying was taking place before then, that would be quite understandable. But after it has been signed into law, obviously, then it creates all manner of other challenges. If there are stumbling blocks which were unforeseen, that have to be taken into account in this process now. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I wish to respond to the issue of COP29. At the Chief Whips Forum yesterday, House Chairperson Frolik did give a report, and his report was as follows, that communication has been received from the department about the conference, and that is a country delegation attending the conference. Further, that there may or there may not be a delegation of MPs. He did highlight that there were additional costs regarding accommodation, and that could limit the number of members attending the conference. So at this point, there is no conclusive position on the issue. The matter of a delegation from Parliament is still receiving attention. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klaso, on the issue of COP29. Honorable members, thank you very much. One of the issues that I think we all need to appreciate is what was the intent of this committee, as other members have said. Yes, I might have been generous with the time to allow members to raise issues, some of which actually, as part of oversight, should be done by the respective committees, of which members of the parties serving in this committee form part. And I think whether we accept it or not, there have been blurred lines in terms of what this structure is supposed to be. And going forward, I think we should just go back and having it as a programming committee, as it must. If there are certain political questions that political parties would like us to deal with separately, we'll create an opportunity for such. If they don't fall within the Rules Committee, we will create an opportunity to deal with those matters which may be matters of concern. But I don't think as a programming committee, we can actually become portfolio committees or take the role of what portfolio committees should be doing. Members have canvassed in detail the separation of powers and in their view on what they think the role of the legislature is. Equally so, I think we should also appreciate the responsibility of the executive and the judiciary in terms of the functions that they hold as independent arm of state. And I don't think we can, or rather we, in our oversight responsibility, have an additional duty to actually dictate to the other arms of state at how they must exercise their function. And I do think it is not correct, because I don't think ourselves we would like it when other arms of state will decide on what we must do and how we must do it. And we must also remember that there has been instances in the past where Parliament has actually felt at times that the judiciary has gone beyond in its action in determining how and what Parliament must do. So I think it's important to manage that balancing act, because when the Constitution confers a responsibility to arms of state as well as the leadership of those, it did so with understanding that there will be procedures and processes that those bodies would follow on how they would want to execute this task, so as we as the legislature do so. So I really would appeal to all of us to ensure that we don't have the temptation of wanting to dictate rather than to oversee. And oversight is not only done through the programming committee. There are portfolio committees whose duty is also to undertake oversight. And as the leader of this institution, together with the NCOP chair, we do our responsibility in ensuring that we engage, we take matters up as we have been requested by both houses, and in line of our responsibility to ensure that matters of governance as it comes to our role as an institution and where other bodies impact on us are done so in a collaborative manner. It's not kowtowing to any arms of state. Collaboration does not mean, you are actually becoming subservient to another arm of state. Collaboration makes it easier that you engage one another. You sometimes agree to disagree on issues. So I don't think there should be a notion that feels like the leadership of the institution is not doing its responsibility as it must. And if it is, I think we must remove it from any of our minds that there is such. And as you indicated, honorable members, I've been very fair to each one of you to allow you to express. Sometimes in the manner in which we do so, we touch each other's toes and others respond. And I've tried to be fair to make sure that everyone is able to express themselves, on issues as they must, because you represent your constituencies and the members of the public when you are here. But so are other arms of state having their responsibility. And going further, I think we really need to make sure that we don't drag this meeting of programming committee and deal with issues that they can find expression elsewhere in terms of the structures of this institution. Matters, for instance, even in the minutes, I've said, is to remind, because we send minutes earlier to colleagues to make sure that they're able to read them and, you know, apply their minds and propose whatever corrections that may need to. Even with the committee reports and the bills report, even on the programming, because it's circulated and it serves on the Chief Whips Forum, I take it as read. So in terms of the reports going forward, when the committee section and the bills report, they will flag those issues of importance, but they're not going to go through the detail of each and every committee's work and what it has been doing, because we should have read them in preparation for this meeting. And on the programming committee, it has served in the Chief Whips Forum, and if there's something like Honorable Kalipi said, it is missing and it was raised yesterday, we deal with those issues. Otherwise, we must really try and be economic with how we use our time. Thank you very much, honorable members. We now move to the next agenda item, which is the reports. I will recognize on Dr. Kanyaza and Bata to actually take us through. Thank you very much. Honorable Manye, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Firstly, I welcome your summary and all. I take nothing out of what you just said. I just want to request the Chair that can you just talk to the issue of timeframes, which is what I made in my input.
Which timeframes?
Timeframes for what? When will the Bella bill be on the table, Chair? When will the Bella bill be promulgated properly? All those things that the minister must do. Surely all of that is regulated, is prescribed. It's not a discretion. Can I just finish here, Chair? Can I just finish two things? That's the first thing. Can we just get those timeframes properly articulated so we know where we stand and what is going to happen when? Secondly, I think the reason we're using this as an outlet valve on matters involving the president is because there is no oversight committee for the president. So this whole thing of the deputy chair saying the matters belong to portfolio committees, there is no portfolio committee for a president to do the oversight. So that's why we're using this outlet.
Honorable Manye, you know very well that the issue of the committee to oversee the presidency is the matters that you are dealing with in the rules subcommittee and will be final on the rules.
Yes, and I know, but it's not here now. It's
can we please?
That's why we have to use this. That's why we have to use this outlet.
I don't think I would allow that, Honorable Manye, to use this platform for those issues. I'm sorry, I won't. And on the issues of the time frame, the portfolio committee must do its task and ask the minister in the portfolio committee on the issues of proclamation and what will be done. President has given us his time frame in terms of consultation on the two sections. And I think let's end it there. Can we move to the next section? Dr. Kanyaza?
Speaker, I think you are unfair on this issue.
Chair.
Speaker.
Honorable members, I've now ruled. Can we move to the next section?
You left
Speaker,
out the employment equity, Speaker.
The next section is going to talk about the same issues that you are not satisfied about the report, Speaker. So how do you deal with such matters now?
Honorable members, I've indicated that with respect to the proclamation, the portfolio committee can ask the minister in the portfolio committee as to when she's going to proclaim. President, as you all know, it was public. He indicated that his process of consultation on the two sections is 3 months. So I am not sure what is the expectation of what I must now deal with now.
On the matter arising issue, Speaker, the issue of the employment equity is a matter arising.
It is coming. Honorable Manye, in my introduction, I indicated, and also when Mr. Kaso was dealing with matters arising, did indicate that that matter will come from the bills section. Thank you very much, Dr. Kanyaza and Dr. Blat.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Good morning to members and colleagues in the meeting. Speaker, I just want to announce that we were asked last week to actually put information or to insert information around the objectives of the bill that are before committees. I just want to say that we have done that. All the bills before committees now, in the slides, we have inserted that information. Thank you. And if we go to slide number 2, slide number 2, Speaker, we still have 13 bills before committees. However, we have actually looked again on the petitions that we have, and we have 18 petitions before committees at this point in time, and I will reflect on them later in the report. The next slide, number 6. Slide number 6 deals with the marriage bill before PC on Home Affairs. And we would like the members to note that there has been a swap of provinces with regards to public hearings to be held by this committee. On the 8th, 9th, and 10th of November, the committee will now be going to Gauteng instead of KZN, and they will go to KZN on the 20th to the 22nd of November. Slide number 12. Slide number 12 deals with the merchant shipping bill before the PC on transport, and would like members to consider or to note that the committee will consider submissions on the 12th of November 2024. Slide number 13. Slide number 13 deals with the Public Service Commission bill before the PC on public service and administration. The committee will have public hearings on the 6th of November, and they intend to finalize its work towards the end of November 2024. Slide number 14 deals with the National State Enterprises Bill before the PC on planning, monitoring, and evaluation. The committee is going to publish the bill for public comments and the closing date is the 8th of November 2024. It intends to have public hearings on the 17th and 18th of November. On the 20th of November, it will have departmental responses to the public comments. And on the 27th, 26th, 27th, and 29th of November, they will continue with the departmental responses, but also have deliberations on the bill itself. On the 3rd of December, they will have formal consideration of the bill, that is looking at clause by clause of that particular bill. And on the 4th of December, they intend to consider and adopt its report on the bill. So the aim to finalize date is the 4th of December 2024. Slide number 15, that relates to the repeal of South African Airways Bill, which is currently before PC on planning, monitoring, and evaluation. And the committee is actually awaiting confirmation of referral to the relevant committee as far as that bill is concerned. Slide number 16. Slide number 16 relates to the South African Broadcasting Corporation Society Limited Bill before the PC on communications and digital technologies. And we want to report that the committee considered submissions on the 18th of October, and the departmental responses will be on the 25th of October, and responses by the legal services on the 1st of November. However, that date is provisional at this stage. And the committee also provisionally intends to have deliberations on the bill on the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th of November. Slide number 23. Sorry, Speaker, I'm trying to get to the slide itself. Slide number 23 relates to statutory appointments with regards to NYDA. And we want to report that the committee received a proclamation on the 18th of September 2024, and they advertised the bill on the 20th of October, and the closing date is the 18th of November 2024. On the 19th of November, the committee will be shortlisting the candidates there. On the 5th and 6th of December, they intend to have interviews. And on the 9th of December, they will have deliberations and then consider and adopt its report on the filling of vacancies at the NYDA on the 10th of December. Slide number 24, that also deals with the statutory appointment at the Office of the Small Enterprise Ombudsman Service. That letter from the Minister of Small Business Development requesting the National Assembly to initiate a process for nomination and shortlisting of candidates for appointment as Ombud for the Office of Small Enterprise Ombudsman Service in terms of the National Small Enterprise Amendment Act of 2024. That letter has been referred to the Portfolio Committee on Small Business, and the committee is yet to schedule. Next slide is slide number 28. Slide number 28 deals with petitions that are before committees at this point in time. And Speaker, I would like to mention that all these petitions, they are yet to be scheduled by committees, and we have encouraged them to do so before the end of the year. The first petition there is the petition from Mr. Kasim calling on the
don't
Assembly.
deal with each and every petition. I think the issue you've raised is important on how these are dealt with.
Okay, thank you very much, Speaker. So slide 28 to 32, reflects the new petitions that we would like the committee to note. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kanyaza. Bill section.
Good morning, Speaker. If I may step in for Dr. Tavares, she is traveling due to a bereavement. I'm only going to speak to a few slides. Slide 4, if we can go to slide 4. The only new matter is a private member's bill, Constitutional 21st Amendment Bill, that is being prepared for introduction. On slides 5 and 6, maybe if you can go to slide 5, and I'll speak to both at the same time, just to indicate there was a request at the last meeting that the date at which this bill was passed be included so that members can form an idea of the time that the bill has been spending with the President. Speaker, then lastly, just the report that we said we would give in respect of the Employment Equity Act. Speaker, what we could ascertain is that there is currently litigation dealing with this act. The constitutionality of certain clauses are in fact being attacked. Also the classification. In that regard, Parliament is defending in respect of the classification of the bill. Whether this is related to the operationality date is not something that we could ascertain. It's a matter, as was already discussed in respect of Bela Bill. This is something between the executive and the president. We would recommend, Speaker, that the Portfolio Committee on Labour be requested to ask the minister to come and indicate whether it is the litigation or other reasons that are affecting the operationality of this act. We are aware, for instance, that recently the Portfolio Committee on Trade did recall the minister to come and speak to certain acts that have not yet been made operational. So that would be our recommendation, Speaker. We do not have further information on reasons, save for the fact to say that there is litigation challenging certain aspects of the bill as being unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are the reports from the two units, committee section, as well as the Bill's office. I don't see any hand. I take it that members have noted. Honorable Zungula, Honorable Mkalipi.
Thank you, Speaker. Morning to yourself and the colleagues. Speaker, the bill section, can it maybe play a role or become very closer to the committees when it comes to processing the bills? I know some committees want to rush the process of processing bills and end up undermining key institutions or key processes. And then that would lead Parliament to litigation. We know that there's a recent Mohale judgment that was very clear on the processes that must be taken by Parliament when it comes to ensuring that there is public consultation. There's been instances, Speaker, where for example, the Committee of Health, there's a back and forth between that particular committee and NETLAG concerning the process of consulting NETLAG when it comes to the bill, because it has got social and economic impact in the country. And there's been conversations or letters from NETLAG to Parliament, to the committees, about the process being undermined. So the concern that I have, Speaker, is if the section is not closer to committees, understanding the committees when it comes to how are they processing bills, so that we don't have committees that are just rushing to pass through bills or just to go to public hearings, only for later we find that there's litigation which will be costly for Parliament. So that is what I wanted to propose, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zungula. Honorable Kalipi.
Thanks, Speaker. Just to check the alignment, last week there was a presentation in regards to the bills, including the coalition bill, but it's not in the committee yet. So how do you align what is reported here in this platform and what the committee sees to it? The second issue, I just want to check how far.
Honorable Kalipi, can you please help us? What is the coalition bill?
Yeah, it was presented here. In the maybe the advocate will also respond. There is a bill that has been, I think, is from the executive that they are going to table in Parliament sometimes. That's why I'm asking, because the committee members are not aware of that coalition bill that has been proposed by the executive. That's why I'm saying the alignment of the report that we get here and the committee report in regards to the bills that are tabled and presented in this platform. The second one, the update regards to the Reserve Bank bill, Speaker. I didn't hear the advocate speak about it. Thanks.
Honorable Kalipi, there has been a report from the committee section on how that legislation was dealt with. Is there something new that you are expecting?
On the coalition, Speaker?
No, on the Reserve Bank bill.
No. I just want to get an update. Speaker, maybe if you can just remind us.
Well, you remember that the committee section indicated that that legislation has been referred to a portfolio committee for it to deal with it. It was reported, if I'm correct, in 2 previous meetings by the committee section. Honorable Mind.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm very concerned with this report we just got around employment equity. To be blatant with you, Speaker, I think we're being played here. During the course of this Zoom, I called when this report was given, I called the officials of the department to understand what is the state of play. And I say to them that the report that were told here in this committee is that employment equity is now in court on some constitutional issues and so on. And this official was shocked. He says, but why were they not served any papers? So the department, as we speak, has got no papers. And in any event, this law has not been interdicted. The president signed it in April 2023. There is no interdict to this law, even if it was in court facing whatever it's facing there. that should not stop its implementation. So some games are being played, dear Speaker. It cannot be that we have a situation like this where this law is in abeyance. Nobody knows. I've spoken to the most senior DDG that runs this department that looks after these things. He would have been the first one to give technical responses to any challenge that is there. But they're not sitting with any challenge. They have not been served any papers, and the law has not been interdicted. So I don't think we're being told the truth here, unfortunately.
Well, I think let's allow the presenter to respond to that question on what you have heard from the ministry and what she has. I'm not sure we can make a determination as yet before she responds. I know you are raising your issues of concern from what you've gathered from the officials. You can continue on other matters, but I just wanted to say, Honorable Manye, before we can say who's not telling the truth or not, let's allow the individual to respond from what you say you have gathered from the department.
Thank you, Speaker. And maybe to conclude, maybe we could also ask Honorable Korenov that from where he sits, has he got papers from court? Can he also confirm if he has been served? Because he would have been a respondent, or the president would have been a respondent on this matter. Can he confirm, at least he's on the platform, can he confirm if he's got papers to deal with this matter?
Honorable Maya, allow me to chair the meeting. Please. Let's allow the official who presented the report to respond on those matters. Honorable Kanyaza and Honorable Van der Merwe.
Thank you, Speaker. If I may speak to all of them, in respect of the question, the first question from Mrs. Ngula, Legal Services is assisting every single committee. So we do advise on legal matters, we advise on any process that could have constitutional implications. So that there is definitely very close cooperation with committees. I'm not aware of a coalition bill. I suspect that the bill has a different name. Sometimes a bill becomes it has a name in the public that is not necessarily the name of the actual bill. I'm not aware of a coalition bill. There is certainly no bill submitted from the Office of the State Law Advisor in respect of certification or from a department that deals with coalition that is busy being worked on by the bill's office. So that I can confirm. There is no bill that has been submitted to Parliament. It is very possible that the executive is still working on this legislation and that it is not yet finalized and ready for introduction because it is not with us yet. A Reserve Bank bill, Speaker, you've already responded on that. It is with the Standing Committee on Finance. In respect of employment equity, Speaker, I cannot speak for the department why they are not aware of papers. This matter is... We have defended this. There's counsel appointed. There is litigation ongoing. And as far as I understand, the department is a respondent. It may be that the officials spoken to is perhaps not part of the litigation section of the department, and that might be why they aren't aware of it. It might be that the department is still busy preparing their responses. I can unfortunately not speak for their officials, but I can confirm that there is litigation. Whether the litigation is part of the reasons for not being operational, that I cannot answer. That will be for the department. And like I said, I would recommend that the Portfolio Committee, as part of an oversight exercise, would ask the Minister to come and speak to the committee on making that bill operational and what the stumbling blocks are. Because as members have also indicated, Parliament can assist if there are stumbling blocks. There are ways that we can deal with that. We can do further legislation if necessary. And that is what we would recommend where this matter goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charmaine, on your response on those matters. Honorable Dartmoor, can we please proceed with the program? We are left with 6 minutes. I also take it that we've read it and it has served on the Chief Whip's forum, so you can just deal with that item which was raised that Honorable Kalipi said she is missing it from the program.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. I want to do exactly that. If we could go to the 29th, and while we are doing that, also just to office speaker and to the table for assisting in the process of making the program for this term. And I don't need to go into details because that went to the Chief Whip's Forum yesterday, the constituency week and the committee week. That was welcomed by all parties. So you've guided. Let me just deal with that one issue. So could we have I just want to go to the 29th. If you can go right down, I think it's point number 8 or 9. Can we just go down onto Tuesday? You'll see in red there, a little bit more down. Yeah, number 7, decision of question on the draft resolution from Mr. J.S. Malema on establishment of, it should actually correctly say ad hoc committee on extortion. That's it. So that's just an indication that it has been up the program, and then you would see it's the updated program arising from the everyone. You would see that a number of other people on courts have been programmed, but other one, I'd like to stop there. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. That's the program table for adoption by members. Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, there's a motion that we submitted on the 26th of August, which complied with the rules, the motion on rent manipulation. I think, Speaker, it's been too long for it not to be part of this particular program. So I would really urge that it must be put on the program urgently. Because it can't be that 2 months for a motion that has complied, but still it is not included in the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ntuli.
Thanks, Speaker. No, Speaker, I'm just rising to confirm that we had an extensive discussion on the program yesterday, and I do want to confirm that and propose that we should adopt the program as amended. And of course, with the concern raised by Zungulu being responded to. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just ask Mr. Klaso to respond on the issue raised by Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think I should explain the process for motions. Maybe let's take the extortion motion by the EFF. What happened with that motion is that the EFF utilized its slot in mini plenaries and had that motion scheduled. Once scheduled, the rule says that it must go to the House for a decision. So the same will apply to the ATM motion. When the ATM has a slot, a mini plenary slot, it will decide what to place in that slot. It could be that motion or any other motion. And once the mini plenary has debated the matter, then the matter will come to the House for decision. So it's not really for the program committee to schedule that motion, but it's for the party itself, when it gets a slot, to utilize that slot. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Klaso. So the issue is not lost, Honorable Zungula. I think it's more just the scheduling on which slot you are going to use from the slots that you have as a party, or maybe if you can consult with other members of the other parties where if you would like to accelerate that matter. There has been the move for adoption. Can I get the seconder?
I second, Speaker.
Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of our meeting. There are no announcements that are there. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.
Long live the
Thank
speaker.
you.
Thank you.